boom, you go through all the, that's got the hard files, and you go
Oh, you said that
rapid
puts
where
you
you
to
can
blank.
edit,
Alright,
everything straight to. Okay.
alright, whenever you're ready, let me know.
Yeah, bro, I'm good.
Alright, man, so today we got a special guest on today. Very special guest. Let me know who I'm talking to. Let the people know who am I talking
Yeah,
to. I
so
know.
yeah, first name Suleiman gets butchered a lot, like Solomon, but Suleiman,
How you spell that?
Suleiman.
Suleiman.
Yeah.
And that where what origin, what ethnicity does that language derive from?
Well, that's
Was
actually an
that
yeah,
a name?
it's an Arabic name,
Okay.
an Arabic version, like I was saying, of Solomon. You know, that's the English version. Yeah, and
Solomon the
Suleiman,
king
Solomon the king. Yeah.
from the Bible.
Yeah, so obviously, and I'm Muslim, so in the Quran, obviously, we also have King Solomon, so
Solomon.
King Suleiman.
Isn't that crazy how
Yeah.
two different stories?
Now it's actually very similar.
This is what I'm trying to get at. Two different
Yeah,
stories, but two different religions, but almost characters that intertwine,
very similarly.
stories that are super
I mean,
duper significant.
in the dozens,
Yeah.
Abraham,
They would call those
Solomon,
the three Abrahamic religions, right?
right?
What would be Christianity,
Yeah, Judaism,
Judaism,
Islam.
and
Yeah,
Islam.
yeah,
Okay. And what's your
yeah. So
last name? Because I know it's strong too.
yeah, it's Haruna. Yeah,
How you spell that?
Haruna.
Haruna.
A
Suleiman
hyphen. Yep.
Haruna
Hyphen.
hyphen.
Iya. Yeah, Ia. Ia is actually a title in my dad is Ia. So in my culture actually we don't do last names traditionally like Western cultures. We do your last name is pretty much your dad's first name. So you're Suleiman, son of Haruna.
Because that's why
Yeah.
in the Bible, a lot of it be like son of Abraham,
So
son of
that's so
Isaac.
we actually in Islam we continue
Continue
that,
that
right.
same. That's
Yeah, so traditionally, unless, we obviously have a little bit of a blend, tradition and religion. So the Ia part is the traditional part. My dad, that's his title,
okay.
back home. So
And
Haruna is his first name.
Haruna is his first name.
Yeah.
So it's basically your father's title, his name, and then your name before that, and that creates the name. Um, that's deep.
Yeah.
Completely different than what we do here in America. But you seem totally Americanized.
Yeah,
Were you
unfortunately,
born
that's what
here?
they say. Nah.
How long have you been here?
Over a decade, went to high school here,
Okay.
went to college here, and been here
You know what's
ever
crazy? I
since. So.
tell everybody you could be born anywhere, but it really depends on wherever you went to high school at. That's kind of where you're
Yeah,
from.
yeah,
That's the vibe.
that's
That's the
when
flow that you
right,
people
and
be
that's
getting
pretty much
into.
when you form a lot. When we
First time
met.
you had your first kiss, when you
Right,
first,
right,
all
right.
that
When we
shit.
met, you were asking me, like, when moving here, how it was. Like, I did move here as a teenager, and it was
That must have been tough getting acclimated
oh
over
man, it
here.
was an experience. It was an
Tell us a little bit about
experience.
that.
So it actually started because when I was around 11, 12, we came out here. I think it was the winter of '07 or '08. We came out here for
Pardon me.
vacation.
I'm
Yeah.
real inquisitive, so
Right.
I'm gonna have these little questions in
That's all right.
between your story.
All good.
Were you fleeing some type of
Nah,
danger
nah,
or
nah. Yo,
anything
nah,
that
we
people don't
chilling now. So
appreciate?
I'm actually lucky enough to be born privileged back home.
Okay.
Like it wasn't like I'm not from the
Because
parts that
you
are
would think the version of
yeah,
Africa that that we're
it's very
used to having.
stereotypical now. It's just war torn. There's
Yeah,
kids everywhere, savages.
savages,
It's crazy. Nah, like I
nasty.
actually grew up. I'm lucky enough to be quite privileged, and that's part of the reason I was, invoking my dad's title because he is part. That's royalty. So it's not, just anybody. But
Okay.
it started off us coming here just for vacation with my dad and some of my siblings, and we went to Pier 40 in Chelsea in the
Yep.
city. Obviously a popular soccer place, and I was playing with some of the adults there, and I was playing well, and I went there with my cousins, and they're like, "Nah, we got to get you out here," and I was living back home back then, and that's how it started off, and it was
Okay.
just like, maybe it might happen, and a couple years later, they're like, "Nah, we'll just get
So
into the
it
process
just
and
gradually turned into
a reality."
you being an American.
Well, me coming here as a student, as a student and going to high school here and being playing soccer, which was one of the primary reasons why I did come here because, like I said, that was why my cousins even started talking to my parents about it. They're like, "Oh, he's him and his siblings, they're talented, and if you can
Do
get at
you,
least one of them
do you
here."
think that here, because we see that a lot in professional sports,
Yeah,
where people come, even the NBA,
yeah,
it's filled with people from other countries.
right, yeah.
Do you
It's a
think that
whole
the professional sports in
right.
America is a lot more? I mean, is it better than back at home? Is there no professional
Well,
leagues
no,
at
no.
home
There's
that you
definitely
can?
professional leagues, but here, obviously, when you live in the first world, that's what America, you know, generally is considered first world and privileged society. Sports has a lot of, finances behind it.
Of course.
So
We
that,
seen that back in the Roman eras when they
right.
had a shit ton of money. They started funding the Olympics and stuff. It's just a
You get a
pastime.
young warrior, promising warrior, you sponsor him. Like it's just kind of common, practice with human beings in very privileged society. So, yeah, definitely. Here, obviously, when you can afford to want to pay or groom a young talent, you try to take advantage of that. But there's a whole obviously industry and market about that. But I wouldn't say I was quite part of that fully because mine was more family based.
Mhm.
Because when I did leave Nigeria, I went to
That's what I.
living with my cousin
That's
in
what I was gonna
Queens.
ask. What
Yeah,
country exactly?
Nigeria. I'm Nigerian. So
Nigeria.
yeah, we
And
did.
are there different types of tribes in Nigeria,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
if you're is it if you're born in Nigeria, you are Nigerian, or do you have like New York,
Yeah, so
California,
this the
like
thing.
different
This the
states?
big misconception about Africa and countries in Africa. What most people don't understand is most countries in Africa are nowhere near as old as whatever country they're living in. Anywhere around the world, most countries in Africa are like 60, 70,
60, 70
80
years old. Yeah.
years old.
It
So
was the
those
late
people,
1900s when Africa went through their
yeah,
greatest
the
times.
50s, the
The 50s,
60s,
60s,
that's
70s.
when a lot of it was happening. So
Correct.
most people, my dad is older than my country, so it's like most people living still in Africa and born now, they still have this, there's no, national
Pride
identity
or
and national pride as much because you pretty much were given these lines were drawn for you
so it's really
and
more
given
of
to
a
you.
tribal kind of.
So there's still a lot of tribalism back home, and that's one of the things. You live in Nigeria, pretty much living in a multicultural society.
Speaking of tribal, is
Yeah,
this explain your
yeah.
gear?
So this is actually,
Is this a part of? Is this something that a man
yeah.
in your tribe back at home, which was what would you be called? What would you call your tribe? What is
So I'm from the Nupe tribe.
what is it?
Nupe, Nupe.
Nupe
Yeah,
with
Nupe
an
tribe.
accent.
Nah, just Nupe. Nupe,
Nupe
yeah.
Nupe tribe.
Yeah, I would say we have about 10 to 15 million
Wow,
people
wow.
across
Is there a
multiple.
language that you guys that
Yeah,
the
it's Nupe.
Nupes?
Yeah, we speak
It's
Nupe.
Nupe.
Yeah.
Okay, you can
Yeah, is
speak
that yeah,
Nupe.
yeah, is that Asian at the Bagona Hele? Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure you speak
That's
multiple
a,
languages too.
but that sound like it sound a little bit like a little Creole
Yeah?
almost. Yeah, like
Yeah, I
almost like
mean, we could talk about a little bit of that, later, how a lot of, the black people in some Caribbean parts of the world are literally
speaking pidgin languages.
descendants of West Africaners. So there's going to be some dialectical, integration and whatnot.
So this man.
But yeah, so
No, so you come from the Nupe tribe.
yeah.
Is this
Yeah,
thick
so
that
we this
adult?
is not just something
Explain it to
somebody.
me, top head to toe, because
Yeah, it's just this is pretty much a traditional outfit somebody will wear back home from multiple tribes. So, it's not like there's no cultural unity with dressing. Every tribe does have their own style. This is kind of a more simple
okay,
Nupe attire,
got you.
and the hat too. It's the same. Like most
What,
people back home
what would
will
you call the hat?
hula in Hausa, yeah, hula,
Huna?
hula,
Hula.
Hula, yeah,
Hula.
hula, yeah.
Hula. Fula.
Yeah.
So I could go
In
get
Nupe,
you
it's Fula. Yeah, it's Fula.
Fula.
Yeah, Fula. So in different languages, it's a little bit of different dialect because, as you know, language evolves.
But
You know,
they're relatively similar. That if you're talking
in
about a
some
subject,
in some instances, depending on. So I speak Hausa and Nupe, and there are some words in both languages which are completely separate and are written
that
differently. Now, yeah, overlap a little bit or like mean the same thing,
like hula,
like hula,
fula.
fula, right. So, but they are completely different tribes and different people, different histories, you know.
And then the silk. What's
I mean, it's just, you know, it's just my normal
nah,
swag. I
that joint
just,
fire,
yeah, nah,
man. I ain't
good
gonna
looks.
lie, son.
Good
That
looks.
joint
Got the
fire.
clips too.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that
mean,
joint fire.
yeah,
Fresh.
good
They say you
looks.
come from royalty. You gotta.
I mean, yeah, kind of,
Yeah.
yeah. So you got to kind of know.
So let's talk a little bit about when you first got here, being acclimated. Because I know personally,
Yeah.
us African Americans, us Black Americans, because
Mm.
I don't even know why would they would call us African Americans because I have no
Connection to Africa.
I do
Yeah.
way down the line, but
Right.
I don't know of that due to them cutting off that history.
Yeah, it's
So
crazy.
I
Yeah.
know we're tough.
Yeah.
Like we are tough critics. We are tough. Speaking to a Caucasian American, we are tough. What they would say in Spanish, a paisano, like
Gritty.
a compañero, somebody from the same country as me. We are tough to live with. We are tough critics. I could only imagine when you first moved here. Did you move to a relatively? What was the demographic of the neighborhood you moved?
Yeah, it's mostly brown. You know,
Mostly
mostly
brown,
brown and black. Yeah. You know, Queens. You know, if you've gone down there,
Yes.
it's mostly brown and black. But I went to high school in Manhattan,
Okay.
so I did move around. You know, a lot in different circles and
Manhattan
whatnot.
is a
So.
little bit more diverse.
Yeah, it's a lot more diverse, you know.
Correct.
Yeah, so yeah.
It has been that way for a long time.
Right.
But in where you were living at, I know there had to be points at times where the blacks here in America would give you shit.
Yeah.
Word for word, would give you shit.
Yeah.
Different.
Yeah.
Just because I can't speak for all, but I can see us being a little intimidated.
Really?
Due to the
So
fact
I'm not gonna lie, I've never given it any thought, you know, and I did experience that quite a bit, but I never gave it any thought because I just sense more insecurity more than anything. But I didn't know insecurity for what. But now that you're saying, like, a
It's
little
the
intimidated,
intimidation
like, of what point,
the
like,
knowledge that you have naturally possessed, you're born speaking three languages.
right, of being able to have that original connection,
You're
knowing
born
what you're
tribe-
right,
you're
tribal, knowing what you are, right,
We have no idea.
Right.
The only thing we know is what we have been taught
right,
by the people who own the media in this country, which is not us.
right,
So
yeah,
we're given a idol, Jay-Z, Tupac, Nas, somebody
Yeah.
to follow behind, and that's not even who they truly are. They're getting paid to act that way. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think it's just intimidation or like insecurity.
insecurity.
Not knowing
That is, I guess, what I
who we
sensed
are.
a lot.
But it's gonna come out as aggressiveness. It's
Yeah,
gonna
oh,
come
yeah.
out as,
Mad disrespectful.
hateful,
Yeah, hateful, mad disrespectful.
But I
Yeah.
never want our fellow African brothers
I-
to feel
and
that way about us.
and
because
easily, I mean, you can ask a lot of other Africans to live here. You can, you know, and if you grow up that young, because kids are the worst. Kids are the worst, so they're more raw. Exactly, it's more raw. So you'll see it more for what it is. So that's one of the privilege and the curses.
Darky,
And but that's what's crazy. Like I got it more from black people, us,
from
than
this version
right,
of a black person.
than
Yeah.
actually,
Than
you
a
know, white person or like, you know, an
But
Asian or
I
whatever.
Also, like I think we talked about this off camera.
Yeah.
How Caucasians are gonna treat you a little bit different because
Yeah.
you know yourself.
Mm.
There's a level of respect that comes with somebody who knows themselves. If somebody comes into a room and
Right.
they know themselves, you're gonna feel that vibe. You're not gonna question that person. But if somebody comes in and you could tell that they're finicky
Right.
on who they are,
Right.
that's what they call it. easy pickings. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So a white person, a Caucasian, most likely a racist Caucasian,
Right.
is going to give you a pass quicker than they give us a pass.
You think so, right?
I know so due to the fact that we would be labeled their number one competition. If anything ever goes wrong, you're nationalized now, but there was a point in time they could have sent you back home.
Right. They can still be the distance, right? They can still push a
You're
distance.
not American.
Right.
The fact that I'm American is the problem, that I am a black American. You know what
Right.
I'm
So
saying?
it's like a trap. You trapped in it, and it's
If I was
just.
an African American, as you are, it would be more of a pass for you. I've been here with them. We have been here with them since the inception of this country. The debt that they owe to us is astronomical that they can never pay back. For that, it's always that, oh, they might do to us what we did to them. If they
Yeah.
get to power, they might do to us what we did to them.
Yeah, and you know what? I want to say a few things about that. So, I think we've come to this age now where I think it's important to mention AI, and talk about how the reflection we have and talk about it's almost a little doom and gloom. Ultimately, it's like, oh, it's going to take. And most people got that idea from what? Media and Hollywood. It's the propaganda, and not to go there, but it's mostly a Western propaganda.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we have to be able to unplug that mindset and rethink for ourselves a more hopeful way to go about things. And I bring that up in that sense, because you got to just be able to just unplug and just recreate what you want rather than what's been fed to you,
Okay.
and
And that takes a lot for
Yeah.
a person to, first off, realize that what they're being fed is fake, and then to be strong-minded enough to disconnect from that when all your friends are telling you, yo, bro, you're losing your mind.
my thing is, the thing is,
You're
people take extremes sometimes, and I try to say, like, fine, if you're not gonna disconnect totally, be more aware of it, and try to at least detach yourself slowly rather than wean yourself off rather than doing a hard reset. Like some people can't even survive that really. So
So being here in America for, what is it now? How many years you got here?
I don't know, going on like 15, I guess.
And you don't
So
ever see your seat. 15 years, that's a long time.
yeah,
That's almost 2 decades.
yeah,
You could ever see yourself going back and living?
yeah, definitely. I mean,
When's
I
the last
don't.
time you've been back?
It's actually been about 5 years. Yeah, it's crazy. People talk about being homesick. You can get home like chronic ill. It's a whole nother level than sick, because it's like, especially when you are familiar with something to a very deep level,
I
and then
know.
you just away from it for years,
Years.
due to
Even-
conditions, circumstances,
Even
whatever.
months, bro. Like, I'm well traveled. I've been to Haiti. When I was in Haiti for a year, bro.
Yeah.
But I literally got sick.
Yeah.
And it was due to the fact that, my body was probably craving the GMOs that was here, craving the water.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Craving a hot shower.
It's funny you mentioned that. That's one of the things people don't talk about, especially when you travel. The first thing I notice when I travel and I get back to the States is my body. I feel bloated. The food, the GMOs, it's so fake. It looks so fake to me. It's like, oh,
Because
I'm
I'm
back to
born
this. It's
here,
like,
I feel it on the way out.
yeah.
I'm out there for 3 days.
So
and
it's
I'm
literally
lighter
like
on
your
my
drugs.
feet.
You're on withdrawals
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
That's crazy. I never even thought about it that way.
It's almost detoxing.
Yeah.
The country. It's a beautiful thing. So you've been home. You haven't been home for 5 years.
Yeah.
You really could see yourself going back home? Because I know once people get Americanized,
Yeah.
it's tough to revert back because of the luxuries we have.
Nah, for real. But I guess one of the privileges that I've had is also I've been well traveled, so I've seen a lot of the world to the point where I'm like, I know this is obviously the first world. No, not just for sad, not to, badmouth it, but like, this is a great country. People, it's not easy to make it here. I don't want to belittle living here and enjoy the privileges here. I love this country. You know, people, immigrants, it's like hard to say that for immigrants. And it's crazy. It's like, bro, you know why you're
No,
here.
you know you love it, or
You
you
know you
back
love it.
home.
Like you
The
got a
weather
home, like
weather back home better for you.
exactly, like,
Food back
but you know
home
you
better
love
for
it
you.
here. So
You know you
be
love it
honest
here.
about it. All
Yeah.
you just got to do is find a way to be able to live with the realities of the negative.
But how much? Where's the balance between loving it
Yeah.
and losing yourself in it? Because a lot of
Yeah.
immigrants come here, and the issue is they want to be more American, quote unquote,
Yeah.
than the actual Americans.
Yeah.
They want to get themselves a white picket fence.
Yeah.
They want to get themselves a white snow bunny wife.
Yeah.
These are the things that make us feel comfortable here in the States.
Yeah.
They want to get themselves a nice car, these luxury items that we would see. So where do you think is a balance between? Is there a balance between losing yourself in it, or just being able to enjoy it, like you said, enjoy it?
Yeah,
For what it is?
I would say the easiest way for me to look at it is just personal accountability, and you know, overall accountability, knowing yourself and just knowing where you come from, what you are, but then knowing like you're not really stuck to that. You know, people sometimes, especially when you don't know yourself, it baffles people to think, oh, you have all these things, you have all, you know, this whole thing going on for your family, your whole history, but you kind of want to go rogue. You know, there's that part of it, and then it's like, it's not about going rogue. You got to be able to know how to grow and evolve within what you are. So I think people lose themselves in trying to do that, you know, and assimilate themselves into, you know, a chronic capitalistic society where you're just stuck working, working, trying to earn a living
There was a point in
and
time.
assimilate,
There was a
you
point
know.
in times in the 50s and the 60s, even during World War I, World War II, when you would have Italians coming over here, Irish during the
Yeah.
potato famine. They would come over here and change their last names
Yeah.
to seem more. They would call it anglicized. They would
Yeah, and
come over
that's,
here, change their last
you
name
know,
just to seem more quote unquote white American.
you know, we're
So
talking,
it's a
touching,
thing.
we're touching a little about race. Let's talk about race a little bit. So I think this is probably one of the biggest problems that the country has, that it's underlying in the belly that they don't like talking about. The white part of the country has smothered its best parts and tried and let its more aggressive parts thrive. When you come here as an immigrant, you're Italian or Irish, just think about this. Irish people were literally treated as, and were indentured
Yeah,
servants in the
they were
country.
stuck with us.
Living in New York,
Living in New York, and
there's still signs of, you know,
um,
museums of saying no Irish. It's like,
no, you go even tap dancing. That
exactly.
arrives. That comes from people dancing Irish dances from jazz music. A blend of us together. They were living in the park, Central Park, before they made it a zoo. They was living with us in squatters.
And these are just,
Yeah.
in my view,
50
these
years
are
ago.
just normal
Yeah.
white, blue-eyed people, like any other Caucasian person from Finland, from like, so
They're racist
when
against each other.
that's what I'm saying. Race at the end of the day, and in this country, unfortunately, has been turned into just a sick game, you know, to just have each other squabbling with each other. Like when the richest, the most powerful people in this country, they really don't care about race, that one way or the other. Like they can turn their hide one way. They can look that like they're not racist, promote DEI and Black Lives Matter initiatives 1 minute, and then the next minute
But
just
do you
withdraw
think
that,
if you
whichever
just, if
serves
you
them,
want
you
to
know?
just okay, so you're just saying it's better off to just think about your money and forget about race?
No, I'm not saying that, and if
Because that's
anybody's
what
misconstruing it, is misconstruing is not what I'm saying. Let me clarify. Like, I'm saying the people that actually mostly have a say in our lives, they ultimately they don't care about race, and they've never really cared about race. It's always been a game, and it started as a game after the Crusaders won, pretty much after the Arab Empire fell, and that's when slavery started, and Africans were, you know, taken, kidnapped, raped, pillaged, and brought here. That's where this whole thing started. Before that, no one cared about
I mean,
race.
the Arabs.
There was no white race back then. All they had was Irish tribes fighting Germanic tribes, fighting Italian states, fighting Roman empires, fighting. They don't have the concept of white was just
If you look at history,
made up.
the Arabics did have a transatlantic. They had a slavery,
Yeah, yeah.
Arabic slavery
Oh, yeah.
prior to the with the Caucasians, and so slavery's been around for a long time.
But it wasn't race
It
based.
wasn't race based.
Exactly.
But when you say, oh, the higher ups don't believe or they don't care about race, I gotta push back because they do. That's what made the slavery different between the slavery that was the intertribal slavery that was happening in Africa, the trans-Arabic slave trade. What happened is they made it about race. They made it, oh, we're gonna take the Bible and use the Ham story. Oh, what I think is Abraham's one of his sons got cast out and sent to Africa.
Yeah, so I've heard that one. So
original sin kind of
yeah,
and base race as the hierarchy of humanism, and so I think we have to be talking about race.
so the reason why I say I go back when I try to talk about serious issues, I always try to go back to the root of things or things that set important precedents. So one of the most important parts that is under talked about. Are you aware of the case of Anthony Johnson's and John Kaser? So in the 1600s, this was when the colonies were still forming, and Elizabeth and what's her name, Isabella, from the empires, the Spanish, the French, the English, they were all sending people here. At that time, there were mixed race people left and right because they had indentured servants at the time. Slavery wasn't actually law yet because their law was still carried over from those countries, mostly in the colonies, England. So the precedent that was set by Anthony Johnson, the reason why I brought him up is he was the first black man to he was an indentured servant, bought his way out of slavery, got 40 acres of mule, got himself some slaves and indentured servants, which some were actually white and black, and I think a few Native Americans. Like, people seem to not be able to understand that concept that black people actually owned slaves. But what he did, and the reason why I brought this up, this precedent he set was one of his slaves wanted to do the same thing he did, but he took him to court, and they ruled that John Kaser would be his slave for life rather than being an indentured servant. And that was the first case of precedent where slavery and being pretty much, selling each other for labor became less of a human thing and became more of a race-based thing. And we're obviously not going to point out the fact that black people and melanated people, are able to endure harsher conditions. Obviously, they tested and tried that out.
They tried
So,
to enslave the Tainos, and it didn't work.
and it didn't work. They killed. Yeah. So exactly. So it just became, and that's why I say those were, and the people that ruled in favor of Anthony Johnson, the black man, was a bunch of judges that were white and European. They didn't care about the fact that Anthony Johnson, these were black. No, they just used it as an opportunity to capitalize and boom the industry and central their pretty much trade routes and labor camp to black people.
So you have, that happens with a lot of different, a movement starts because of one reason, but then turns up to a completely another reason.
That's in America. That was in America only. That, and then obviously other places, you can
deny the fact that race is definitely should be, because if we just annihilate the race conversation,
not annihilate it, change it.
Okay.
I want to change it in the way that I want white people and black people to understand that all that we really are caught in this reality right now is the fact that the very worst of us are the ones that are idolized and pushed on us. Idolized voluntarily or involuntarily. You have to look up to an Elon Musk. You have to look up to a Beyonce, a Jay-Z. You have to look up to people that fundamentally you don't really know who they are, what their values are, what their beliefs are.
Who
So
gives them the platform? It's most
power.
likely,
Power does.
but it's most likely those media companies that are owned by Zionists.
Exactly. Exactly. That power does. And that's the thing about power itself. It's not, and that's another myth. Power is ev- ultimately corruptible, absolutely corruptible. And I think human beings, eventually, we have to be able to pass that threshold. I think the smartest people and the most successful people in the world, I think they're caught in this trap, caught in this world in between people that they consider better than, a world that they're bored in, a world that they have all of it, and they can't transcend past that. And the problem is they can't change them ultimately what got them there.
But I think your pushback is due to the fact that I know this because you've privy me to this
Right.
information. I think your pushback is because you got a white girl.
Not girl, wife.
So your
Right.
wife is white.
Right.
I personally think that the pushback is because of that, and it's almost like, oh, let's all get along instead of being the 100% black man for black women for black community.
Let's talk about that.
you probably
Let's
should.
talk about that. How far has that gotten black people?
I mean, there was multiple. Every striving.
Go ahead. No. You are going. Don't stop. There were multiple.
Every striving black country is based off of black.
No. We're talking. Let's start here. Let's start here. Let's stay here in the U.S.
Yeah.
Because I think what you misunderstand.
It's tough to be like that here in the U.S.
No, but let me finish. Right. I think what you.
With a bunch of influences that those influences aren't like that back in Africa for you.
Well, let me try to differentiate it for you. Black people that live in the U.S. and black people that live outside the U.S. have completely different realities.
Exactly.
So what I'm trying to say is, let's talk in those different realities.
All
In
right,
the U.S.
copy.
I'm in the U.S.
But you are not a black man from the U.S.
No.
So you have to speak on, okay, I see it, but you're not one of them. For me, the pinnacle of beauty for me, since birth, I was taught that my mom is ugly because she's black. Her hair texture is ugly. And the white girl around the street is the pinnacle of beauty. This is what I was taught from day one.
Let me tell you what I was taught.
It can't be the same for you because...
Right, let me tell you what I was taught. From day one, my mother, I fortunately didn't have the lack of escape as most black people in this country do of not being told what you look like is beautiful. I was always secure, for the most part, with being black. The only insecurity I actually had being black a little was back home when kids made fun of how dark I am, pretty much. That's where it mattered. Back over here, they don't care how dark you are. You're just black.
You African.
For the most part, and my point is how you're treated. And I'm telling you about how I was treated. And the reason why I'm trying to very much separate the realities and talk about here is the fact that when you're here and you live here and you don't feel like you know anything else and you're trapped in this skin, all you know for the most part is what I was talking to you about, addicted to the pain, because that's all you've heard about and that's all you know.
Almost trying to live the experience of another people. Because if you are a black man,
Yeah.
I don't give a black man a pass for having a white girl, but we grew up with them. It's kind of harder for us to not see that as the prize when that's the prize of our country. Even for the white men, they used to kill black men for trying to be with the white girl. The white girl has been the pinnacle of American society since, look at Marilyn Monroe. Look at all of the
Sure. I mean,
our pinnacle of beauty on our posters, on our poster boards. It's all white women. All of our, what would I say, athletes.
Yeah.
It's get a white woman once you.
Let's since we're talking about this relationship.
African male that you said you love your black skin and you being black. How could you just go and be with somebody who is so completely of opposite?
So let me tell you, right? Let me tell you my mindset and how I think
Y'all got
everybody,
kids?
of course, yeah.
Okay.
Let me tell you how I think everybody that has this skin color should think about it, whether you're here or whether you don't live here. But let's start with here specifically. For one, when I was dating, let's start with me personally, and then I'll go a little out of it personally. Personally, I never really cared about my partner's skin color. Before my wife, I had an Asian girl, and before that, I was talking to a Hispanic and a black girl, and before that, I was talking to a
Bro,
black
when's
girl.
the last time you had a black African
I just told.
Nupe woman?
I just told you. I literally just
She
told
was
you.
Nupe.
She wasn't Nupe, but the point is irrelevant, right? She's a black girl. I've never cared. I have a particular taste in what I want my woman to look like, and I really don't care if you're blue or green. If you look a certain way, and obviously got a certain vibe, that's it to me.
But
Now,
obviously you're not picky.
now,
If all of these, you just said you got, these are all three different girls from totally, they can't look the same. An Asian,
but
a black.
I just told you though. I just told you. I don't care about what your skin color is fundamentally. All I care about is how you actually look as a woman, obviously physique, and how your vibe is. That carries way more weight to me than what your skin color is. And I think for me is I've been fortunate to just literally since I was 10 years, as early as I can remember, been fortunate to just be in a multicultural reality. I was trying to tell you, Nigeria is a multicultural reality. People from different tribes look different. I'm obviously of darker skin tone. There's people in different tribes in Nigeria that are lighter, of different tribes, and that's just what it is. But no one,
no pale eye, blue eye.
no, there are some of those people. They're minorities, but these are people are there like that. Like this is a reality, and people don't seem to get that about Africa. People see Africans and they're like, "Oh, why do you do certain things that are?" Because our realities are completely immersed in different feel and vibe. African men. And we're talking about trying to put up a different presentation for black people in general, not just this angry, savage, mad people. I think one of the things that is important is pointing out African people in general. You go to Africa too, this is one of the things that holds the continents together. It's not, we don't have a constitution, we don't have,
Think about Pan-Africanism.
I think it's a sham, and I'll get to that. So we don't have a constitution fundamentally that people believe in. Fundamentally, what keeps the country together, countries and the people together from not killing each other and being thriving, is the vibe they all share. It's fundamentally a peaceful people, and that's unfortunately a weakness of us that has also been taken advantage of us over centuries. We're fundamentally a peaceful people that want to thrive. That's what Africa is. That's why Africa has the highest birth rate always. Like we want to thrive. And I think when you're African American, you totally miss that reality because you're always squeezed. You're talking to somebody that has the same skin tone you that has the opposite reality. We're always multiplying. I literally, my dad has 22 siblings. My mom has 15 siblings. Like I got hundreds of cousins on both sides.
But,
We got life is, it's life,
not the fact
you know?
that blacks here don't want to thrive. It's that we're
That's what I'm
capitalists.
saying, right.
We live-
Reality,
We live with the greatest, the biggest, the most
suppressor,
devious
oppressor,
colonizer to ever function on
oppress,
the earth.
right.
We live with them.
And the realities are people that don't know this and can look this up. When people say things like that, it's not just about slavery. It's about more recent things just in the last 100 years, like poisoning waters
Yeah,
for
like
ghettos, Jim Crow laws, and not just Jim Crow laws.
redlining.
Even when cities were created, redlining and putting people in certain ghettos,
Yeah, exactly.
and poisoning their waters, making the women infertile.
Exactly.
These are all documented.
Yeah,
This is,
Tuskegee,
you're targeting people to literally suppress their birth rate and thrive in them. So I understand what you're saying, and that's my
That
point.
would make a black man angry.
That is my point.
That would make
And I
any
think,
black man angry.
but that is my point. And I think one of the things that black people in this country have unfortunately now come to realize is the brutalities that were done on the backs of their ancestors, they are not fully reverse Uno in that shit. Absolutely near enough. A black man with an American passport has access to over 100 countries in this world. why can't you think of
And the dollar stronger. It's
and the
the
dollar
lack
stronger?
of
It's the
education that we have here. Not too many black men understand what you just said. Not too many black men know what you just said.
But I think at some point we got to talk about accountability. How much longer? Who else are we gonna keep being angry at? Are we gonna be angry at the black man that's getting with the white girl and trying to live his life because he has different realities?
No, we're not.
Or are we gonna be angry at ourselves and talk about the fact that we know we feel inadequate fundamentally, but we are not doing enough to make sure we're not feeling that anymore, regardless of our race?
But there's
Because this is a human thing
but
and fundamentally.
there's still barriers to this day. If all the barriers were let loose, and then you could still say that group of people
Yeah.
not trying to make something
Yeah.
of themselves, then you would say, okay, I get it.
Bro,
But when there's still food deserts,
you know,
when there's still inadequate hospitals
Yeah.
in certain areas of
Yeah.
our country, the richest country in the
Yeah.
world, when there's still inadequate schools in some of the black areas in the richest country in the world,
Yeah.
you have to sit back and say, okay, not why are they angry? What happened to them to really make them angry? And once you look at the history of all the tragedies that occurred and are still occurring, you're gonna get even the most educated black man, you're gonna get him with a little anger in himself. Just because there was never any, oh, I'm sorry. You brought.
And where are we going with that though? How long is that going to sit with us? All of us. Because I think another thing is African Americans, black people here think they're the only ones that feel that. They don't understand that all black people around the world feel it to a certain degree, but it's not the same, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's like a contest of measuring how much my pain is compared to yours.
Of course,
When we talk about
the people who actually
Right.
endured the most pain are always gonna be like,
Yo,
hey,
what's up?
what about
Right,
when the
for
Jews
real.
are being their Holocaust is being lifted up, but a Holocaust happened here in the United States that were never talked about.
Yeah.
The independence movements that you guys went through, that you like you said, Nigeria doesn't have a heritage or like national pride.
Yeah, not as strong. I'm not saying
But
there's no
there
national pride,
is.
but there is something, right? There is
Is.
something, right?
For us, there's
Nothing.
absolutely nothing.
Right.
So when there is nothing, all you have to cling on
Yeah.
is that anger. And until we get something.
So
And
that's
there's
my
been-
that's
but
what
there's
I'm
been
saying though. That's what I'm
movements. There's
saying.
been back to Africa movements.
And
back
so
to
let's talk
Libya
about that. Let's talk about that. You asked me about Pan-Africanism. One of the things that people don't understand is one of the earliest meetings that were had in the 20th century about Pan-Africanism was in Lagos, Nigeria in 57.
Yep.
But unfortunately, this was one of the meetings funded by the CIA. This is not, conspiracy. You can look at this up, document it. So from the original, mindset of it, it sounds good, but it's always been poisoned waters. And my annoyance is people are like, okay, so we know about it, but you're still persistent with this mindset. When are you trying to actually elevate and grow from it, grow through to a different reality by challenging yourself to actually an unknown? And that's why I try to transcend the whole, not the whole, but the race part of it.
But how much
Because
are you challenging yourself if you're really just gonna shack up with them? It's gonna draw from the mission. If you're with a black woman, she's not gonna allow you.
I don't want to say this part.
She's not gonna allow you to stray from that mission because that mission is her mission as well. Because her baby is gonna be black, and if as long as being black is a bad thing,
Right.
her baby's gonna suffer. A black woman's always gonna instill that in her man. A white woman, on the other hand,
You don't know.
Gonna be more passive.
You don't know. A white woman, on the other hand, realistically, you think.
I'm talking about. I grew up with them.
No, but
These
like.
are my paisanos.
But I think this is a ridiculous thing to put a blanket statement on, because one thing is when I think white women, I don't even think American white women only. A couple of years ago, my wife and I, we were in Kosovo. We used to be part of the Serbian nation, and they went through their own revolution. It's a whole touchy thing, but it's a European country. It's white people that live there, normal white people. and they have it's a whole different vibe there,
But normal
but
white,
like
okay, so it's no such thing as normal white
what
people.
I'm
We're
trying to
talking
say
about
is
American white
what I'm
people.
trying to tell you is ultimately the way I see a white person, it's a white person.
But
You know
they
what I
will
mean?
tell you the difference between each
I
other.
know the
They'll
difference.
say, "Oh,
Let me
I'm
finish. Let me
French
finish.
Canadian," or "I'm
Let me
a
finish. And
white
they
person."
some of them
Always
look
is gonna tell you their
and
second lineage because to differentiate yourself. Oh, I'm Irish. They'll tell you that
let me
because
finish.
it's
Let
the
me
heritage that makes them different than us. We have no heritage.
well, black people in this country, some don't, but it's not even a generalized thing. But I'll get to that. What I'm trying to tell you is, ultimately, even white people, this whole white thing, though you keep saying white, white, like this is all a whole recent concept. Like this is all fucking new. Sorry to curse. I didn't know we can
No, you
curse
good.
and
Yeah.
like this shit is new. Like this shit is just the new weapon that they used in the last recent years to just whip their resources into submission and have dominance in this certain way. And it's not always going to be like this because it wasn't always like this.
I get that.
So I don't like whenever we talk about race, it gets so bitter and personal and painful. People can never look past the pain itself. And it's like, yo, it wasn't always like this. And it won't always be like this, but you gotta wake up to that reality for it to be like that.
But the only
But
time
it can only be like that is
listen,
perceiving further. So you say, when you talk about these things, you're gonna get anger from a black man. And I say, okay, justifiably, but where's that anger gonna go? Is it
this
just
is
gonna
what
keep
I'm
sitting?
saying.
Where are we taking it?
Revolutions only come from anger. People only revolt
Anger is never enough though.
and topple anger and education. When
Exactly.
you get education mixed with anger, that's when you get a proper revolution. That's why we have this podcast.
And let me say one thing about education. You fundamentally cannot mix the two because when you have enough education, the anger dissipates like fucking water in the solution. It softens because you start understanding. This isn't a hate, evil. Literally, people I know, family members of mine, they call white people white devils. Obviously, I'm married to a white woman. This is not something that I'm not new to.
Elijah Muhammad
Exactly.
thing, yeah.
There's no such thing. Literally before, when I talked about the whole, 16th, 15th century, once the Arab Empire fell and colonization started from the European powers, before that, there was no white power. Literally, that wasn't a thing. Obviously, the concept of a lighter skin was used as currencies in different parts of the world, but it wasn't a global phenomenon the way it became once the Europeans quite literally
Because that's their
pillaged and took.
religion.
Well, it's
that
not
was-
a religion thing. It's just the vision of certain visionaries of their origins that just made sure their whole people benefited from it. That's what people don't get about it. This isn't a you know a written thing in stone that it has to be this way. This is just something that happened because Columbus and Cortez, these were explorers.
But it happened.
No, but let's talk
here.
about how it happened, right?
Okay.
Columbus and Cortez, these were explorers who were literally famous to explore the whole world, but they also, for the most part, didn't even know where they were going sometimes.
They thought they was
But when they
Egypt
stumbled
started.
upon certain riches, they were very ruthless in telling the queen, "Yo, we need all of that." So that's how a few thousand people conquer 100 million people.
And then also with
You,
diseases they bring over.
so it's not like magic. This is just ruthlessness,
we
right?
are educated.
And these are visions of people, not
But
ideologies.
there'll be another time when we can give them the backstory. I'm on to something right now.
Yeah,
If you say we're here now,
right.
that happened.
That's
here
why
now.
we're here, though.
And, okay, so now that we're here, do you think it's like you get coffee? Analogy. You got coffee. It's black. It's hot. You start putting milk in it. What does it do? It dilutes it. It gets cooler.
Right.
And it dilutes it. You put so much milk in that motherfucker, it's no longer coffee. Now it's putting you to sleep rather than keeping you awake.
And I'm guessing this analogy comes with black people
So
with
when
white,
you
right,
intermingle and
right.
intermix, so it's
Right.
okay to be in my city
Right.
It's okay to be my friends.
Right.
It's okay when we live in a melting pot together.
Yeah.
We have to.
Yeah.
But in the home, there's multiple religions that say a house that's divided cannot stand.
Let me just eliminate this entire concept of diluting, the bloodline. I'm as black as anybody in this planet can be, so no human being can tell me about being black. I know my entire origin and history, 1,000 years going back, not just because I'm royal, because I want to know these things. There's nothing about being black that I don't know about more than any other African American living here that doesn't know about being what they actually want to be. What I'm trying to tell you is, until we realize our melanin that we're so ashamed of and so scared of and we've been villainized for can be used as power too. You're talking about diluting the seed. What's the child of you and an Asian woman going to be? Black. Child of you and a white woman going to be what?
Less than me.
Less than you in what way though?
I'm
Less
not
than you in
talking
what
about
way?
Diluting my blood. I'm talking about diluting the
Melanin?
the pride of the melanin. Why?
What is
run
that?
to
What?
di-
Let's talk about
why
the
run to
pride of the
di-
melanin. What's
why
the
run to
pride of the
dilute
melanin?
My melanin and
Right.
intermingle it instead of make it stronger and partner.
Bro,
with
this is
somebody
something
just
that I
as
don't think black
melanated
people.
as I am.
I don't think black people understand this, and I think again, I
Like,
say
I got-
fortunate.
I-
Let me
okay.
finish this, right. I think again I'm fortunate to have been born where it's all black people, right? So I think one of the things we got to get past is the fact that he's obviously white man, Caucasian. It's all happenstance. The melanin that you talking about protecting the pride in it, at the end of the day, it's not something that you control at the end of the day. So stop trying to control it. It's a form of psychological backwards control that black people are trying to keep it in the bloodline. You can't do that.
The whites,
And it doesn't
the whites
work.
Did it. They did it.
Let me-
They did it for centuries. They would fuck each other. They would fuck their brothers and sisters and try to keep that shit in the bloodline.
So let's talk about the whites. Are they literally living this life of heaven that everybody's portraying? They're in the dominant culture. They're dominating. But how many white men do we know that are powerful and rich that are literally unsatisfied and commit suicide? How many white people?
How many black people you know that's so down bad?
But we are
downtrodden
resilient. We
that
don't
they-
have
that they
suicide
commit
numbers
suicide?
like
But we
white
have
people.
them.
We have them. But I think even in America, statistically, the rate
We're only 13% of the population. Don't
per
we-
capita, I'm talking per capita.
Okay.
I'm talking per capita. It's still higher with white men. Ultimately, the power and the
Imagine-
dominance that they
imagine-
have.
Imagine being a man,
But that's my point,
imagine
though.
being a man and a land full of dollars with no dollars, and you're supposed to be the ones. Like, there's no reason for you not to have dollars. A broke white
Exactly.
man, he's like, well, fuck, I'm just broke because
Exactly.
I'm down on my luck. At least we gotta read. I'm down on my luck because I'm black. Imagine being a
But
broke
I
white
think-
man. That's
but-
why the racism comes out of them so much. It was the broke white man
That was given the whip. That was given the whip to keep exactly. To keep. It was always. See, this is the problem, right? The rich white man always used the broke white man from as just as overseer, and that's how you got sheriffs, and that's how you got, unfortunately, the police departments, and people don't like talking about that history. That's how police departments became. That's how sheriff's office became.
Since we know the vileness
Right.
that comes out of
No, but that's
that
the
may
reason.
come out of a white person.
No, but like
Why
it's
would
the.
you
You're still
marry
stuck
one
in
and
that.
have
You're
them
still stuck in that. You're not listening.
Because I'm trying to understand.
I want
my
you-
Nubian
I
queens
want you-
to get why they losing such a.
I want-
they're losing
so-
one of the greatest to another race.
Let me finish on
house
this
that
thought. Let me
divided
finish on this
cannot
thought.
stand.
Let me finish on this
A
thought.
house that's divided.
I
cannot
lost my
stand.
thought. I lost my thought. I lost my thought. What I'm trying to tell you is, oh yeah, with the police department thing, there's always a clear lineage to this. Until black people can understand this and finally get out of their own way and read the history, we can finally all be free of it. Black people here and black people everywhere. But they're too stuck on the pain of all of it. And what I'm trying to tell you is, fundamentally, like, we can't always talk about it and feel it and talk about it and feel it and talk about it and feel it some goddamn more. That's all we do. Yo, I'm Nigerian. Let me go a little. Let me do a little rant. All you hear growing up in Nigeria is how terrible the government is. We got overthrown. Now we're a democracy. We're a dictatorship. We have no electricity today. We going not have power for the next 5 days. You're talking about having it hard here. It's really hard back home for a lot of people. They don't even. We're in lights right now. There's millions of people back home I know without power. But what I'm trying to say is like, it's hard in all different ways, but we got to be able to acknowledge that in all different realities and ascend.
He African.
Like, I experienced this shit. Like,
hear me out. If you only knew what the black man went through at the hands of the white woman here in the United States, I can't say you would question you because you're not.
Bro, I do know, and let me tell you.
It's not him.
Like,
and everyone is different.
That's more than that. More than that. Let me try to explain this to you.
There was castration,
bro,
that will occur. A
bro,
white woman would buy a black slave,
yeah,
castrate that man,
listen
just
to
so
me.
she could fuck on him and not have a baby and be labeled a snickerlick.
And that ain't got nothing to do with me, bro. Let me start with that. Let me start with that. That ain't got nothing.
My great grandfather.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. I mean, this is what I.
This is a real contrast point between two different.
And
gentlemen, honestly,
yeah.
Really, you've come from two different backgrounds, and really, you are a product of your environment in most cases, right? So
yeah.
You look at it entirely differently than he does.
I'm an educated black.
Educated in some ways, and you've continued to educate yourself continually without you doing it on your own. It's very easy to say that brainwashing is just kind of built into how the systems have been built. He's kind of realized it from the outside looking in. It's really an interesting perspective to see, as you've kind of found a point to be different.
And that's one of the things, being fortunate, being from the outside looking in and saying, yo, like, when you're stuck in the pain, and obviously, that's what I'm trying to say. We can sit here and literally do pain competition, bro. Being African, being a black American. We literally could do that. But what I'm trying to tell you is ultimately we need to ascend from that to get out of the reality. If we don't, we're just gonna be bitching and talking about the pain and the terrible things that were done that was done to us.
Not a unity between the
bro, but let me explain something to you. But let me explain something to you, right? The reason why, no, this is probably the most important part of this whole podcast. The whole reason why black people, whether in Africa or here, are in the conditions and they are in, is the power part that still has black and white and Asian people in a lot of situations being overdosing, being poor, not feeling any value or worth to life. That's the point that I want you to understand. Like, we feel that we have that as black people at a whole different level. But there's a whole major, obviously a bigger majority, because we're not the overall majority of the world. There's an even bigger majority of the world that has their own pain point and point of focus and different realities. That's why when black people scream this shit, people don't hear us. They're never gonna fucking hear us. That's why when I say shit like, stop, don't focus on the pain, don't focus on, you're talking about the castrations, the lynchings. I keep saying, don't focus on all that shit. Black people, we did the worst shit to each other ever. We could talk about what white people did to us. I'm African. We set traps for our worst people. That's why you here. That's why your ancestors were here. We betrayed each other. Bro, we did the worst things to each other. We enslaved each other long before white people enslaved us.
But then, like you said, you pain comparing. I don't care what my...
But I'm talking about, it's the fact that it's a human thing. Human thing, when you want power, and as royalty, I can speak to this. Royalty, at the end of the day, it's a fucking myth that, you put in people because people want something to believe in. And some people are charismatic enough to sell that shit and let people buy in. And that's what breeds royalty, and that's what breeds power hunger. So you, as an African, got sold out by me as somebody that had a literally 1,000-year royalty bloodline, and I have a sword from my family line to show one of the battles that fought off the colonizers that came and tried to bring missionaries and Christianity to us, and we fought it off. I'm telling you, there's a lot more to it than the 400 years of cage captivity, pain, silo that black people are caught in. And until you break out of that silo, realizing it can be more, and you might even be the key to making it all more, because you're sitting in literally the entire gold mine of it. But they will never get out of that mindset. They will never understand that, being stuck on the pain and, oh, we got lynched. Bro, we got to get out of it.
We're in the same boat. I'm not even thinking on the pain no more. I'm just weary of a black man. I'm always going to be weary of a black
Because of the pain and trauma, and you have to be able to overpass it.
So
I have to.
The way to break the barrier is just reaching across and saying,
You have to.
How do we move forward?
If you don't,
Here's my point.
they will never
I got
humanize
this.
you. Bro, the thing about racism that people don't want to talk about, the raw part of it, is the dehumanizing part. It's not even the, oh, I think I'm better than you. No. It's the I'm not just better than you. You're an animal,
They
bro.
call it a quip. They call it materium quid. It's your third human. They think
It's
that-
bro, that's my point.
Listen, they
Like
said
you're
it was
exactly.
God, human, a black man, and then an animal, like a dog. Like we were in between dog.
I don't know who said that code, but that's a little fucked up. But I've never heard
This
that.
is
But
American.
there's American mythology,
Southern-
right? Mythology, right?
Pre-antebellum Southern mythology on the reasoning why they were above us.
And-
And I know these things because I've done my research. That's the only reason why I will always be weary of a black, because I feel like you almost diluting the love for yourself. As if every day your pinnacle of beauty is, oh, my white woman.
If
Let
he
me
made
tell you
every-
something,
if he made
right?
Every decision based off that or other things that might have happened to his ancestors, then it might even be worse.
Exactly.
Instead of just living by the circumstances. He meets a wonderful
If
person.
Bro,
live
you
by the
happen-
circumstances, I'm
Bro,
if you
the
living
way-
if she makes you happy and you living by the circumstances,
It's
and
more
she
than
love
that.
you for a
It's
black
more
man
than that,
you
though.
are,
It's more than
then
that.
I'm completely fine.
So you
with
talking
that.
about diluting, you
Well,
know,
I'm
the
not-
let me
there's
finish on
black
this thought,
men
right?
in America
Yeah.
who go for a white woman
Yeah.
just because that is the pinnacle of beauty.
And that's
in our
unfortunate. That's
culture, and
unfortunate.
I'm just trying to make sure that's not your reason.
Yeah, no, I don't
Because if
care.
that's
I
not
never
your
cared,
reasoning,
yeah.
Then we on the love is love.
Yeah, bro, love is love. I've never
But
cared,
for
bro.
my
I've never
black
cared.
men who are almost discarding black women
Yeah,
and viewing white women as
Yeah.
better than them just because of the skin complexion.
yeah.
I totally am against that. That's just
I want to say this though about dating, and we talk about race, you know, a little bit. I want to say one of the chicks that I did date, and I'm gonna put it out there. Like I was out there, my wife knows that you got to go through a lot to make sure you make it. You know, and a lot of most people that are serious and tough long-term relationship know that. Like it's not easy. And I was one of those men. I was a terrible. You know, I was young. I was an athlete. I was feeling myself. I was out there. And there was, you know, a black girl that I was talking to, but like, it was one of those things. It was like, you gotta either not, you can't make it about race. And I had to have that conversation with myself because I was talking to multiple girls at the time, you know, and I'm not saying, oh, I was looking settle or whatever, but like when you're talking to people and you're someone like me, like once you find somebody you vibe with at a much more deeper level than just, oh, I like this person. Nah, you're like, you can be,
soul ties.
exactly, and you can actually be vulnerable with them at a level that you actually didn't think. So at that point, you really know and understand race is matter relevant, but that's not why race is relevant, because you fell in love and you were able to feel vulnerable, whatever. You could feel that with a black woman, obviously. In my situation, those were just the circumstances, and that's why I bring up race, that this being circumstance too. He happened to be white. You happen to be African American. I happen to be a privileged African that actually got the privilege and, you know, privilege to see a lot of people less fortunate than I am in my own society, struggling, starving. Like, but me being, you know, my parents being who they are, me escaping that reality, being able to afford even the tickets come out here.
But nah,
You know, like,
I don't think it's good to say escape because that's your reality. You gotta live in it. I'm a black man, he a white man. You
not
gotta
es-
live in
not
that
not
reality
not
every
es-
day,
not
right?
escape. Definitely the
live in
wrong
that
word.
reality
Definitely the
every
wrong
day.
word. You know, but being able to have the privilege to have different opportunities
We call it-
and
we
experiences.
call it third person.
Yeah.
And we're observing others outside of our own.
I want to say this about black people. If hypothetically, if every black person in Africa and in America today, every black man able testosterone working, and we all know obviously we live in the lowest for levels testosterone with men, which is a whole nother conversation. If every one of them got with every other race other than the black woman for the next 20 years, what will the world look like in 30 years?
It'd be a darker world.
So this thing that you trying to protect, you're being so insecure about, is something that you could weaponize, but you can't because you can't actually see past the fear of what happened before. I'm not saying black people should do that. I'm not, I'm not. No. Let me finish, right? Let me finish. I think you. I think I'm not.
Soul tie with somebody.
I think I'm not.
A whole different.
I think. Right.
Reality.
A whole different reality,
How
right?
am I soul tying with somebody who from a whole different reality?
But
She
because
don't
of what
even
they
know-
look
she
like.
don't even know what that pick, how that pick. She don't even know how to use that pick in your hair.
And that
You probably showed her a pic for the first time, and she was like,
and will
"What's
and
that?" Because
and does
that's not
that
the same
define?
tool that she used,
But does that define
but
your
it
whole
makes us
reality?
more common, birds of a feather flock together. That's just how nature. That's just how.
I
nature
really.
rolls.
Have you gone to Africa before?
No.
Hold on, should I ask him if that same thing applies though, because he does have a child with a woman who's not from the States. I don't know her color, but
She's
I
Haitian.
imagine that, but
She's Bangladesh,
Haitian,
man.
but I don't know what that usually, Haitian,
But birds
Is that
of a
usually
feather.
somebody
But
who's-
the reason why I'm not with my baby mother is because birds of a feather flock together. She does not. She could never understand me as an African American woman would. That white woman could never understand you as a Nupe woman would. You might be like,
Of course
yeah,
not.
she can,
Of course not.
but there's just not. So why?
But
we gotta-
I'm not-
We gotta really be in love for us to be pushing past all of these barriers that life is gonna give us.
You're
because we
again
from two
again
different
you
realities.
just ignored the most important part of the other part of where you said circumstance. What are the circumstances that are leading to black men getting with women that are not of their skin color? Most black men that I've known about, African American or not, this happens mostly in college. There's a lot of white girls in college.
We are taught from
And-
day one that the
No. Let me.
pinnacle of
You're
being-
talking about the psychological psyop of it, which is real, and obviously has led and made a lot of African American men to do that. I'm not, African American, as you keep pointing out. My psychology about this is entirely different. I don't fundamentally care about what your skin color is. You can be Asian, which I have been with, like as I've mentioned, Latino, like I don't care. But my point is, you're not fundamentally just gonna base your whole reality off of that. And until black people can break out of that silo of, I'm protecting this thing that I was told was awful, and now I gotta protect it because I was told it's awful and I gotta be proud about it. It's not something to protect.
But I'm not talking about the protection and none of that. I'm talking about who knows me, who's gonna understand me the best for me to build a house with, for me to build a home with. It's gonna be that girl who comes from the same neighborhood as me than somebody who come from up there.
So what if you're not- and what if you're not-
Gods. We serving different gods.
So what if you're not even living in the place your reality was created, though?
Then you deeper. Then like I said, you deeper than majority.
No, that's the reality of most Americans, though, who are immigrants. They are literally living in a reality that is not theirs. They know a different reality,
That's
but they
fair.
have to assimilate in some way.
So I never, like I said, I never chastise an African man for coming over here and finding love. I'm speaking on my brothers who are searching.
It's the
out
same thing,
white
and I'm
women
and I'm
due to the
hoping you can
fact-
see that, and I'm hoping anybody that agrees with you can also see that, and I'm hoping that is the wrong mindset to keep carrying on because that's the mindset that has prevailed, that has not worked. We've been at this already. This isn't new. We already felt this way. We already feel this way. I've felt this way before. I've seen this before. When I moved here, I didn't move to upstate New York. I moved to New York City. I understand very much so what it's like and feels like to be black in this country. I am black. Like I was told, that's what I was saying, at the end of the day, when you come here, I was treated fundamentally as black, not really African. Obviously, you can tell I'm much
They
darker.
knew.
Right, they knew.
that. Yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm saying,
Our
ultimately, they don't
dialects-
care.
Our dialects
It's
are
different. Ultimately, they don't give a shit. They just, you black. Y'all all black. Y'all all.
They're gonna give a shit. They'd rather an African marry their white daughter than a black man from the States marrying their white
But
daughter. I promise you
they're
that.
a black man from the states marries their white daughters anyway. At my wedding, there was literally a couple across from us. It was an African American man, not an
That's
African.
gonna
With,
happen all the time.
so
But
my
why
point is,
I would ask that. I would want to have the same question with you
yeah.
that I'm having with this other black man. Like, is it because of love? Does she really make you, or
Yeah.
is it because you are searching for something outside of your race because you think that your race can't do
Bro,
it?
at the end of the day, so even if that's the case, let's go with that mindset, right? You still got to live with this decision. You still got to live with this reality.
There's a lot
So
of
you
black
can
dudes
chase
out here
it.
compromising who they are, the integrity of who they are, because they're with a white woman.
So who are they? Who do they think they are? Most black men in America. We just talked about it. We talked about with you, you're severed, lost, and don't know what they actually are, but they're clinging on to whatever it is they think they are to make sure they can feel good about themselves. We talked about Pan-Africanism, and I said it's a sham. I think the concept of every black person, sticking with the black, thing, it's just ludicrous. Why? Because there's fucking ships and planes, bro. We talked about all of this on off screen. Mentioned Dr. Umar and he be championing how why black men get with white women. Bro, ships exist and they existed for long before planes do.
You talking
Let me
about
finish, right?
fucking-
No. That's
You
what it
talking
comes
about
down to.
building an
Let me no.
empire. It's different.
It's the same thing. There's no empires that
I
are
could
not
fuck- I could
families.
fuck any girl-
You're
I
not
could
listening.
fuck
You're not
any girl
listening.
out here.
Yo, every empire was built on families. No empire is built solo. There's literally why everybody knows the name Rothschild, knows the name Richard III, Fourth Henry. It's all families. And families are made
And
by
what
fucking.
What are they?
You
All
make
the
that.
Rothschilds, they what? They same color,
Let
same
me-
race, same because that's
Bro,
how
you're still
that's how
stuck
it's
in the.
built up.
I'm still trying to tell you, you're still stuck in the recent nature, bro. I can think about this as far as this Mansa Musa, an African just like me who was considered the richest man in
So
history.
when he walked through Africa, he was dropping gold. The price
From
of
Mali,
gold-
I'm
the price
Nigerian.
of
Mali
gold-
is literally,
he devalued
Mali
the
is
price
right
of
there
gold.
from us.
Yeah.
People don't understand this. Like, Africa, being African in and of itself, being black, essentially is to be diverse. I'm from literally a black continent. The whole thing. You were asking me how many tribes are in Nigeria? There's over 100. There are over 70 languages that I know about that is literally recorded in the national database. Our national language is English because of colonization, but there is no national language. There's just groups that are more dominant and people know about now, especially in the last 10 years because of Afro beats, people like Wizkid, and obviously, because of the internet and social media. But it's essentially to be diverse because I was in Fiji last year. I was telling people this. Most people don't know the demographics in Fiji is black and Indian. Indians moved in there a couple hundred years ago. Fijians are black like you and I, like a little lighter, but they're black. They call them Melanesians. That's what they call them in the dictionary. That's what Westerners call them to separate them from what we are. To be black fundamentally is to be diverse. So when you say shit like you don't want to dilute it or weaken it or mix it, bro, no, let me finish, right? There's people on the continent I'm from. Fundamentally are mixed. It's always been like that for thousands of years.
Mind mixing, but to lose to idolize another.
Right.
because
That's a
of
whole
what
different
they
thing.
have.
That's a
This
whole
is
different
my
thing.
issue,
Right.
The idolization of white women here in America.
Yeah.
It's deep, and it's deeper than you would know because you aren't.
No, true.
But zoom out for a second though. So let's say for your son, a future day, marries my daughter. Does that, what did you say, dilute or the integrity now because that black man, African American, is marrying a white girl.
Why would you want better question? Why would you want your white daughter to be with something that doesn't resemble you at all, or?
But what if they don't care?
In knowing my daughter and raising her, it would have nothing to do with. It would have to do solely about whether that person made her happy, smiling with her. She thought
Is she happy because the
But doesn't
trend-
matter why she's
Is
happy.
it happy because the trend nowadays is telling these white girls black kings only?
I wouldn't ask.
Or
Why would you?
do
Why would
you
that
understand
be?
where I'm trying to get at?
But I think the only reason why people are even offended at the trends is because it's the in thing. Reality is the in thing will always be a thing. Like there'll always be some fad that is somewhat offensive to a demographic that, is the in thing that is ridiculed or there's cultural theft to. You asked me about Pan-Africanism. Another thing I think is garbage is cultural appropriation. I think someone like him should be able to wear what I'm wearing. I think someone like you should be able to wear what I'm wearing. I wear a suit and a tie everywhere I go, or a shirt wherever I go. I feel just out of place in that, just as I would feel wearing something else because I didn't grow up wearing that. I grew up wearing this. I'm comfortable in this. But what I'm trying to tell you is, this is the people, black people say shit like, oh, if they see a white person wear that, it's like, how dare you wear that? That's cultural
We always
appropriation. It's
revert
like,
back to what we're comfortable with, correct?
what I'm trying to tell you is, when you export what you value, then people really understand it, cherish, and they don't seek to destroy it. That's what I want to do. That's what we talked about having the podcast. That's what I make my podcast about. It's trying to have people understand I want to export my culture. Not just the Afro beats they hear in the music, but the fashion, the food, all of it, because that's what makes you really diverse and organic. Because at the end of the day, that's how people really value and change their perception of you, thinking of you from savages to people that are, no, these are people that actually just trade, have a good culture, just like any other culture.
Culture is the thing that differentiates humans from animals, is the fact that we can make traditions and things that mean spiritual, things that have spiritual values as the things that animals lack that create.
And I think that's the only way black people can ever
So
bridge
I
the
would
gap
wanna
of
be with
ignorance.
somebody of my culture.
I would want to be with somebody that values my culture more than just somebody
The
that
person
bees in my culture.
is most likely not
I don't think that's true at all. It doesn't matter. Like,
I
bro,
will be with her then.
you've
But if
heard.
I can
You want to
find
talk about?
somebody in my culture who also
You want to
values
talk
it,
about, bro? You want to talk about Southern codes? All skin folk ain't kinfolk.
No, of course.
I don't give a shit if you black, bro. I want to know about your ideology, about how you see the world. I've seen black people like you and I sell each other out because their ideology is different about how they think dominance should be. That's why I keep harping back about power and people that rule the world. Ultimately, they don't give a shit about they just want to
I just
have
don't
one
know
over
how
you.
two things that are completely different can mesh in ideology. That's where Dr. Umar comes in at. Is he's just saying, because I've actually studied, I'm like, because I'm on the same
Bro, I watched,
I'm on the same tip
but
as what you on, bro.
I've seen tons of stuff
Come
of
on,
him,
what you on,
and
bro?
I'm one of those people. As somebody, as a black man with a white woman, I don't get offended by hearing him say what he says
I
by
love
black
it.
people. I don't love it, but I don't get offended by it because I understand certain black men have a prism and paradigm of view that they can never. No. What I'm saying is a view of white people that they will never break out of. Because let me finish.
See them as bosses.
Not just bosses, the enemy, the evil. What I'm trying to tell you is this. There's black men that no matter how educated they are, no matter how passionate they are, they can never break out of the prism of how they see white people and whiteness. Until you change the way you look at that power that thing has had over a lot of black people for so long, until you change your view of that, you will never escape the view of it, no matter how, no, the reality of it, no matter how educated about it you are. Because you've held this view about it, it's this evil thing, it's terrible. It's not just that it's innately this, innately that, it's innately different than me. Literally every human being that started on the planet started from the planet of Africa. That's why I brought up Fiji. Fiji, if you look up, somebody looks it up on their phones, it's literally in the middle of nowhere. It's a drop, it's in Oceania, it's in nowhere. Long before, when the earth looked differently, black people migrated. We're talking thousands of years ago. That's why there's Melanesian, that's why there's black people in Fiji. They've been there for thousands of years. The whole world, it's not about how black or white we are. We've always had this. We've always been like this. The only difference is this has been demonized to subjugate for power. And until we understand it's always been for power, not because they're evil and not because they just stuck like, it's always just to be for power. All of it, the rest of it is just collateral damage. We've been collateral damage the rest of
We
it.
can't escape that. We can't act like that's not the reality that we are in.
Getting caught in that is going around and around the same loop.
That's what I'm saying.
Breaking
That's
the
what we've
wheel
been doing.
is at least maybe looking at a different perspective, from a man who is from a different country, as well cultured as we want to be, continue to grow to be.
I see
In our
it.
mindset as well, we do need to kind of maybe then get out of that man one
I
prison
see
view.
it. If you're on a higher frequency and it's because of how that person is, how you vibe with that person, how you making them feel. I'm not ever. My baby mom's Haitian. I'm not a hypocrite. Like I've ventured outside of black women as well. I'm just against. All I was asking from Rip is it an idolization? Of
Bro,
like,
I've told you. I've
Because
said it.
that's what
For
I'm
me, my
against.
story ain't gonna change because it's one thing. It's always been about circumstance.
then I'm all,
It's
I'm all-
always
I'm all
been
about
about
it.
circumstance.
It's the idealization of the beautiful female form that we
I want the female form that is beautiful and attracts me literally to it. I want to be attracted to you. And if I'm attracted to you, I don't want to like you. I don't want to like how you look because of what you look like or how you're looking. No, I want to literally be drawn to you. And when I'm drawn to you, can I stay drawn to you? Period.
Yeah, so it's about the person.
I don't care about what you look. Literally, am I drawn to you?
And I respect that.
And you know, this is one of the things that most people around the world don't have the perception of, because most people around the world never leave, 50 to 100 miles of where they were born in. They're always stuck in that prism of what they think and what they believe and what they've been taught. Once you can break out of that, and you're fortunate enough to break out of that, you can realize like what you have can never be a curse. There's no amount of black awful videos you can show me about being black that'll make me feel bad about being black.
You also grew up in a culture that was, like you said, predominantly black. It's tough for that to be instilled in a melting pot culture when you are the bottom of the.
I don't think so,
That
because
little black boy
I don't
is
think so
seeing
because I
everybody
came
else
here
as
as a kid though. I didn't come here as a formed man. I came here as a kid. I literally went through phases of my life with different ideologies, trying to find myself as a man. And what I'm saying is I'm very,
all at a young age.
yeah, but like it
gives
doesn't,
you a sense
it
of-
gives you a sense, but it
identity.
doesn't formulate your mind.
course.
Once your reality is literally changed overnight, when you travel over a few days and you're in a whole different country and you live there for the rest of your life pretty much, when that happens, your whole identity has to evolve, not just because of survival, to thrive and just being able to make the best impact around you can make, rather than just being a goddamn cancer. Because that's what people end up being, trying to, look out for themselves, trying to be survivors. They end up just being cancers wherever they are, and they make denials about it with themselves. They make rationalizations. Oh, I'm doing this for this. It's like, I think black people at the end of the day in this country, even though they don't have the privilege that I had, surrounded with black people being secure and being black, you gotta find a way to be secure as a person. And the only way you can do that is break the barrier of what you actually look like. If you can't be honest with yourself and say, yo, what would I look like if I was Asian? What would I be if I was white? Like literally, what would I actually look like, be like? What would my reality be like? People don't do that with themselves because one day either fighting too hard about their own reality, sticking to it, or they just find it a waste of time. But when you're able to channel yourself into a different person, a different reality, just for a little bit, you're able to see how far back we stretch as people. We literally are the most amazing thing right now going in our current universe that we know of. Obviously, and that's ego speaking because I'm a person. But we dominate our planet. We literally did it slowly over a long period of time. Brutality, ambitions, a whole slew of things. There's no right answer with most things that are very complicated and complex with people. Like there's no one right answer because it wasn't one thing that just happened that got us where we got to. I brought up the Anthony Johnson thing. That just set precedent to make sure from now on, not only are y'all not indentured servants, y'all gonna be slaves for the rest of your life, which is powerful, literally robbing people the ability to buy their own freedom. That's a game changer for labor. You're gonna get a lot of shit done, a lot of industry done for very cheap. And that's how this country was built. But the problem is having that conversation is too sensitive for black people and white people. White people get to defense about, oh, it was too long ago, we don't want to talk about it. Black people are like, bro, what are you talking about? This whole thing was done. It's like, no, like, it's all about to build and get to where we got to. We here now. We're here. Let's just deal with it from here. If we can't deal with it from here, we're always going to be stuck.
Yeah, I think deal with
AI is going to come. They're just going to use AI the same way they use people in the farms and the fields.
I think dealing with it starts with conversations like this, deep intellectual conversations where you might not always come to the same viewpoint, but just the fact that I can listen to you, hear you out. You can listen to me, hear me out.
Yeah.
And then
Oh, damn, I gotta go.
And we build from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
But,
before you close, I think it's important to talk about forward too. I think we talked about the root, we got to the surface, but with some forward-thinking gentlemen too, and we're already making some forward progress in having a conversation. What do you think would be some great ways to continue that forward progress, right, or to break that barrier
Education.
in different ways, right?
I think the best way is just stop being defensive and stop thinking what you know or where you are is one good enough or is enough to get to wherever you want to get to. That's the first part of, trying to make sure you even educate yourself. Because people say, oh, educate yourself. A lot of people don't actually know how to educate themselves. They were either taught or they were either told and they just pick things up,
So then let's maybe simplify it for an actionable step in maybe breaking a barrier would be having a conversation with somebody who looks different than you,
Yeah.
right?
Look
And
at this
asking
room.
others
This is
to
a
then
very
say,
diverse room.
Yeah.
and listening and not waiting to speak, but listening and then responding. And I think a lot of people maybe aren't taught that from the jump
Yeah.
to do that.
No, but just
Appreciate
education, history, like you said, I can tell you a history buff. History will tell you where you came, why are you in the point you are right?
If-
Majority of education
yeah.
is
There's a lot
orally
of
stated anyway, right? It's only been.
Most
some
people,
more recent
I always say
experience.
this about history. I can't believe people find history boring. Most people find it history. It's like, bro, you love watching Netflix. You all love watching HBO. That's all history is. It gets a little excerpt from it, and it's crazy.
And maybe having storytellers who could then teach that.
There's
to you.
also different
Yeah.
forms
Coming
that,
from different school systems, man, it's not,
That's
there
what
are
I'm
some
saying.
things that, there's some
Exactly.
subjects in the way that it's
That
built
we
for
were
kids
not-
to learn in this country.
Yeah.
It's not meant for them to actually be, wow, tell me more. Honestly, if you're looking for them to get that type of inspiration, you have to do it as a parent.
you have to do it as a parent or you have to.
That's so
homeschool.
sad. That's so
You have to-
unfortunate.
And this is
That's
also
the
what
truth of it.
what I want you to understand. There's a lot of indoctrination that happens here
Yeah.
in the States at the young age.
Yeah.
Ages before you got here.
Yeah.
That we were young black boys, young white boys.
And it's the
We're
system.
already indoctrinated.
Yeah.
We're already in that, you don't cross.
Yeah, I know. I see that. I've been living with that over a decade, trying to navigate through that. I went to high school here.
30,
Like,
30.
I got some of that
You've been through
education.
too, so you
I've been.
know.
I know a little bit of it, but that's one of the reasons why I guess, I don't want it to, use it as an excuse for me because I know I went through the same system to a point, but not as ingrained, but very similar too. But
That's fair, but think about this for 1 second. In the first 7 years are the most.
most
questionable of
right,
our life.
right.
We can be-
You are
Right, I was already older,
Now
12, 13,
imagine-
14, right.
Now imagine then if your mindset is shifted and if you were ingrained with other things that maybe you wouldn't have wanted your kids to be programmed with or otherwise. It can certainly change your environment and a lot of things to happen in that way, right?
Yeah.
So let's start by, this is a great kind of ending point too, then and say, we need to come back and make sure we have another conversation, maybe on your podcast as well, and
Yeah.
continue to just move forward and break some barriers, right?
Yeah, bro, that would be fire. This was good. This was passionate. I like this.
Yo, you a beast. Heard? You a beast. Yo, I appreciate you. Yes, sir.
Y'all good, man. Y'all a good team.
It was a great conversation.
How long was it? I'm gonna have to go in
Well,
there
right
and
here
chop
on
it
this
up.
one, you got
2
an
hours?
hour.